Lisa Frankenstein. Yeah, that's right, folks. This is the new film from new time director Zelda Williams, a Nepo baby in her own right who has earned the right to be considered a Nepo baby because her dad's pretty impressive. This isn't her first time directing. She has made music videos, if I'm not mistaken. But now she's getting to play over here in the big leagues doing some fun stuff in movies. And then she gets a script from one of my favorite screenwriters of the modern era, Diablo Cody. I love Diablo Cody. I love every iteration of Diablo Cody. Some people might have their favorites. My favorite is this type of Diablo Cody. I love young adults. I love Juno, but I'm a fan of Jennifer's Body. One of my favorite films of that era with that specific camp and schluck built into it. I adore it to no end. I loved the cast and crew of that movie. And according to Diablo Cody, Lisa Frankenstein takes place in the same universe as that film, which is interesting. I don't know why you'd have to do that, but I guess if you want to establish some weird monstrous universe solely onto your own right, go ahead and do that. So that's what we're doing here. This is Lisa Frankenstein. Catherine Newton plays the lead in this. She is your typical girl, your Winona Ryder in a Tim Burton movie lead where she's a little bit different and can't fit in. She kind of pines for like this guy in a graveyard, but she's horny for a guy in her school. She wishes one day that this 200-year-old poet would come to life, and he comes to life to help her figure herself out in this modern times. This movie rocks. I love it. And the thing I have to tell people, I know it sucks to say, but it's true, this is an acquired taste. This is not a movie you would show to everybody you know, but those who get it, and those who know, know. It's one of those movies. It's exactly like Jennifer's Body. The people that like it are defenders of it and appreciate what we're doing here. Those that don't like it, they don't have much to say. This is, I would say, a more digestible piece than Jennifer's Body. And I mean that because it's playing with a lot more tropes I think a modern audience is willing to accept and dive into. This is an 80s flick. It is set in 1989. We have a bunch of hairspray and 80s music. We have neon colors and leg warmers at every turn. We have the goth alt girl being against like the prim and proper people of her high school. We're doing that. Okay, there is so much of this movie that is weird science, that is Edward Scissorhands, that is So I Married an Axe Murderer, that is just the Beetlejuice to Ed Wood era Tim Burton. That is where this movie gets a lot of its vibe, and my God, is that cool. That is a vibe as well that's not for everybody, you know? I, for some reason, went to this movie with my mid-50s father. That's not the target audience I would take to see this movie. For the most part, I think he enjoyed it because, he's from the 80s, he sees all this stuff and gets the jokes. But it's like the campy, raunchy, kind of like softcore, pornographic, just innuendo stuff that might go over a lot of people's heads. And that is just par for the course when it's Diablo Cody doing this stuff. The main character's name is Lisa Swallows. Okay? There is a sequence where Carla Gugino says, "You could eat off my carpet." Okay? The stepdaughter and father have a weird relationship where they support each other, and she calls him daddy all the time. It's right there if you want to see that, but if you don't pick up on it, I get that as well. That's for people who know what we're in for, because this is just campy and silly. And it's so enjoyable. It is a really well-handled script. The things it's ripping on, it does those really well, while still having that classic Diablo Cody flair, where it's just great use of words, great just like one-liners that don't feel like they're flashy or annoying. They just come at you hard, and they just stay with you forever. It's so impressive what we're doing here. It's specifically my tone. And that is something I know is not going to be for everybody when we're doing something that's specifically my tone. Catherine Newton has carved a little niche for herself as being somebody who can adapt weird, specific horror stuff, because Freaky is not a movie that's easy to do unless you're willing to commit to the bit. Same with this movie. There are a lot of like modern scream queens or even like young actresses like I think would see this role as something it's not. But Newton understands, like, I have to be so, like, esoteric. I have to be kind of against everything. I can't walk away being likable. I can be, like, mysterious and suave and above it all, but in, like, a playful, fun way. This girl is, one, she's really horny. Two, she's kind of pissed off at her situation. And three, just knows how to behave in this really specific suburban world. It's ripping on suburbia, it's ripping on high school, and she has to see the cracks in the system to become the scream queen we know her to be. And she does great. My goodness, like, I've liked Catherine Newton. She's had a couple of choices where I'm like, this isn't the best thing I've seen. But between this and Freaky, I'm like, you know how to play in this genre well. Because you have, like, the suave, tortured poet aesthetic to you. You have that Winona Ryder thing of the era where it's like, I can see how stupid school is. And there's just, like, this weird, tortured boy who likes old movies that I think I can save. But I just like sitting in a graveyard with, like, this poet and just falling in love with him and shit like that. And then she just becomes, like, a psychotic sociopath that hurts a lot of people. It's really cool. It's really funny. And the fits are fire. Everyone is dressed up perfectly. This movie captures my two favorite types of character and two types of women I love. Gothic girls who are tortured poets and moms in spandex. We get both of those in here. Those are my two favorite types of things. Because Carla Gugino is in this. For some of it, I won't spoil what's going on with her. It's my favorite type of trope, too. Just a bratty stepmom who's stubborn and snobby and is above it all. And she just perfectly plays that, too. You have the two characters who go against each other well that perfectly fit into this world. Because that's what we're doing, too. We're also just ripping on classic movies. Do you know how many times the stupid moon from A Trip to the Moon with his face and the rocket in it shows up in this movie? It's at least 10 times we see him. I'm like, why? Who is that for if not just Zelda and Diablo loving that energy, you know? We have Boris Karloff posters all over the place, like this girl loves tortured, broken men, and that's why she resurrects this dead poet. And he's a musician, and it's Cole Sprouse. And, read some reviews saying, like, this feels like if you took, like, I don't know if you know this, Betty, but I'm weird, like, vibe that Cole Sprouse gave off when he did Riverdale, and they just amplified it. But he's really good stunt casting for this because you're going to get a generation that grew up liking Cole Sprouse from Zack and Cody and Riverdale, seeing him as like this decrepit creature. You're going to get that audience in, and that's your target audience. He is the perfect, just soft boy, sad core energy freak to get in here to play a rotting corpse that slowly gets more and more horny. Like he is a really fun choice for that. I think they have great chemistry. I think the way she uses him and the way he retaliates is so interesting. It gets pretty graphic, pretty bloody. It stays to like that PG-13 era where it's like, yeah, we're going to make references to sex. We're going to make references to violence. It's about what we're not seeing because it's the pretty prim proper suburbia. And that just goes into some fun directions. There's great music cues and needle drops. My goodness. Like, this was a surprise to me where I'm like, I know I'm going to go into this liking it. I love a good Frankenstein story. I love that era, Tim Burton specifically, where it's like, yeah, we have a weird creature that doesn't fit into society. It could be the monster itself, or it could be the lady at the school who's different. But then you have Diablo Cody, who just knows how to tell a story about like a different type of girl at school who doesn't fit in. And you mix in with like her classic, just like hero references to older movies, to horror movies. We're ripping on like the 80s nostalgia and bullshit like that. Mixed with Zelda Williams, who's like, yeah, I know how to do this. We're going to do like the slow motion shots where we play some classic synth music, and we're going to use a lot of purples and blues and pinks to show you like the color. But every time we see Lisa show up, she's going to just like get more and more like dark clothes and just wear like veils over her eyes and just wear black dresses like she's a creature slowly turning into the bride of Frankenstein. There's literally a sequence where she is the bride, and it's the coolest thing ever. Like, this is such a fun piece. And it's so specific. It's the type of movie, and this is a huge compliment I'd give it. It's the type of movie you would want to watch if you're friends at like a late night sleepover, if you need something like cliche and lame to throw on. But it's so smart in the way it's delivering everything it's doing. It's got great leads, it's got a great script, it's so competent and cool. It just has the perfect undertone of just like that classic 80s sexism and just innuendo, where it is just like a weird science type of thing. We have this person living in our room that is like this sex symbol, and it's like we want to just like put them in a shower and clean them up, but they're like our thing to control. I love it. You know, like this is such a specific thing. It's a shame it's going to bomb hard, just like Jennifer's Body. The world at large cannot handle these types of things for some reason. But those of us who can, we're going to just shout it from the rooftops. This specific thing is so much fun. It's so cool. It makes us smile. Lisa Swallows is amazing. She's a really competent, cool. She instantly becomes recognizable in like that classic iconography of, you know, like a Lydia or a Heathers, you know, just perfectly one of those characters. I adore it so much. I adore all of this. Like, this worked on every conceivable level for me. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's the best thing we've seen in this genre, or that it's like the perfect distillation of everything, but this is the type of thing I'd like to see more of in our modern lens of filmmaking, where it's like, if we are going to homage the thing, we're going to do it tongue-in-cheek in a different way than we've done it before. I appreciate this so much. I'm glad it exists. I think it will find its audience probably with streaming, but it's just got like that vibe of like, you know, you're going to go to your friend's house, you bring over your stack of DVDs your mom lets you rent from the video store, and you're like, I got Lisa Frankenstein. I hear Catherine Newton and Cole Sprouse cut off a guy's dick in this movie, you know? It's got that energy, and that's really cool. And I want to see more movies like that, so I appreciate it. But no, it's my vibe. It's everything I love. It's just cliched to hell, but the script and the directing and the acting, we all know what we're doing here. We're making it work. It's sexy. It's fun. It's cool. God, movies can be awesome sometimes. This, I mean, we're early on into the year, but I think this is an early contender for me for just like, this is my surprise hit. I didn't think I was going to walk into this expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. But just knocking on suburbia and just being the alt girl who is tortured and hates everyone. I love that. And I also just love a stepmom who's just like, you can eat off my carpet. The stepsister even has a sequence where she comes home. She's like, oh my goodness, cheer practice was so hard, and like all this stuff happened to me, and like I had like this huge like thing that hurt my back, and it was such a good thing. It's like, but she's like, it's such a big deal. But what she says, like, when I hurt my back and I achieved this accomplishment, it was such a big D. She says that, like, this was such a big D. Catherine Newton is gorgeous in this movie. I love it. I love it. So, Lisa Frankenstein, I am going to give an 8 out of 10. Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.